lessons around creating wealth. If we zoom out, we can all do this at the scale that we can do it, right? Get a high value skill that pays you well, and then be super intentional about using that income that you earn from that skill to invest in assets and opportunities and or businesses that grow and provide passive income. Welcome to Cash Flow Unlocked. It's your guest here, Perry Jeffries, and we are excited to jump into this information here today. With today's training, depending on when you're listening to this, we've decided to dedicate this month to Black History Month. And in doing that, wanted to acknowledge some of the Black billionaires of the world. And with that being said, we've had some really phenomenal training so far. We got some really great discussions coming up here in the future. So if you're listening to this via the podcast, make sure that you subscribe and follow these podcasts now so you can get those updates as we release these new episodes coming up. All right. So before I get started, I want to just take a quick moment to shout out the participants inside our Accelerate Academy. If you're not familiar with our Accelerate Academy, our Accelerate Academy is our mastermind that we open the doors up for periodically to let high performers connect with each other and learn our wealth accelerator method so they can learn how to become financially free using passive income. And I just want to shout them out today. We built the academy to be very fast paced. And here recently, we've had some of our members talk about just managing time and things of that nature. And I was inside our private Facebook group and I was just watching how the Academy members were all rallying and supporting each other. And it just warmed my heart because that's what it's about. That is the purpose of the mastermind. The purpose of the mastermind is not to come in and just simply hear somebody talk. It's for you to connect with the other members of the community so that you can lift each other up when times are hard and support each other and cheer each other when times are good. So just warm my heart to see members of the Accelerate Academy just rallying around each other, supporting each other as they learn this valuable information. And again, what we're teaching inside the Academy is we're teaching folks who don't want to subscribe to the idea of having to work to their 60, 70, 80 years of age, or in some cases, never being able to stop working. So what we are teaching them is our wealth accelerator method that we've used for our own personal finances and also helped other clients, what we say, accelerate their timeline to financial independence through understanding how to use your assets and your knowledge to leverage that to get access to capital to then go out and invest in things that provide passive income. So if you never heard our podcast before or you're new, we define wealth this way. Wealth is defined as the accumulation of assets which can be converted to passive income in order to cover your lifestyle expense. So effectively, what we're saying is this: you have to grow your assets, depending what those assets are. It could be your own personal assets, could be your business, could be your real estate, could be your insurance accounts, whatever the case may be. But you have to be very intentional about somehow converting those assets into passive income. Because when you have enough passive income to cover your lifestyle expense, you are financially independent. And that is not based upon your age, that's based upon your cash flow. So that's what we do. All right. So again, I had to just take a quick moment to shout out the members inside the Accelerator Academy. You are the real MVPs, which is now a really good segue into what we're going to talk about right now. So I was listening to a podcast here recently and just doing a lot of studying so that I can really be a value add to our community. And I've recently heard this quote, and I'm going to share it with you guys. Millionaires are made from investing in stocks. Billionaires are made from investing in businesses. This gave me a lot of pause and made me do a lot of self-reflection. So if you don't know, I've been in the financial service industry for 20 years. I first got my Series 7 stockbroker's license back in 2003, 2004. Time's, escaping me now. But with that being said, this really resonated with me, right? What are millionaires doing different than the thousandaires? And what are the billionaires doing different than the millionaires, right? So it made me pause and really gave me a affirmation that the direction that we're moving in is spot on, right? So it's one of those scenarios. If you were to do or adopt the mindset of the billionaire, even if you come up short, would you be happy with a couple of million, right? You know what I'm saying? Or it's a mindset shift. So instead of investing in companies that you cannot control, how about investing in companies where you possibly have some control, right? It's just a totally different mindset, right? And it really blew my mind. And then I had to reflect on some of the conversations I've had personally with people in my network. So I've literally just here recently sat down with an accountant who has multiple billionaire clients. And I even asked him, what are you currently invested in? And he told me flat out, he doesn't invest in any publicly traded stocks. I was, wow. I said, really? He said, I invest in land, real estate, and privately held companies. That's all he invests in. You know what I'm saying? And also to hard assets such as Rolex watches and things of that nature, right? So I was like, let me go ahead and put a note in that, put a pin in that, right? I was speaking to another friend who's very close to being worth $1 billion in real estate. And what does he invest in? Started investing in real estate before we were even out of college. And that's a long time ago, by the way. So he's almost 30 years now into investing, has over 800 units, right? And now he has that. The real estate is his base, and he's going out now and investing in other businesses and getting contracts through the government, right? Where he's going in kind of as the operator or the money behind these certain deals. So he's investing in businesses and not really concerned about investing in individual stocks and things of that nature. And I'm like, wow, okay, I'm starting to connect the dots here, right? I might be slow, but I'm not that slow, right? Right? Success leaves clues. So if you start having these conversations and start researching, you'll find some things out. Well, on our last episode, if you haven't listened to it, we highlighted Jay-Z and some of the valuable wealth building principles that he's given us in his music. And when we start to understand how he became a billionaire, it was him investing in businesses, not necessarily investing in a stock, but investing in businesses and also in real estate and also investing himself, right? So we're going to stay in that same vein and talk about LeBron James today. So if you're watching this, live, you see I got on my Just a Kid from Akron t-shirt. You know why? Because I'm just a kid from Akron, just like LeBron James. So let me first shout out Northeast Ohio. Let me shout out my hometown of Akron. Let me shout out LeBron. Let me shout out all the hoopers out of the city. We've been producing a phenomenal product for years. I'm all Akron. I've been in Columbus 20 years. People ask me where I'm from. Hey, I live in Columbus, but I am from Akron, Ohio. So big shout out to the 330. Okay, had to get that off my chest. Let's jump back into it here. So we're highlighting LeBron today, right? And why we want to highlight LeBron is what he's been able to do has never been done before. He is the first active NBA player to become a billionaire, right? So let me make sure you understand that he's the first active NBA player to become a billionaire. So he's a billionaire while he is still working out and running up and down the court. Okay. But let's talk about how he became a billionaire. So looking at doing a little bit of research on him today, yesterday, we see that he has made about 500 million or so in his 2 decades of playing for the Cavs, the Miami Heat, and the LA Lakers, right? So that's what he's made income wise with respects to being a ball player. And I'm going to stop there. I mentioned this and discussed this in the conversation we had previous podcast about Jay-Z is in order to create wealth, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing you have to learn how to do is develop a skill set that would allow you to make high income. That's the thing we have to do. So before we start talking about, hey, I'm going to invest these dollars and I'm going to go get the bag, you first have to develop a high value skill set that will provide you with income. Just so happened in LeBron's situation, it was basketball. Very talented, very just God gave him some amazing gifts, but he also works his butt off, right? So over 2 decades, he's earned, around $500 million. But let's not forget that to be able to be worth a billion is not about how much money you make. Right? It's about your worth. He also has more than $500 million in cash and other investments, in addition to $80 million in real estate, which means if he were to stop working today, if he was to retire today from the NBA, he would not lose his quality of life, which is our definition of wealth. If let me say our measurement of wealth. If you stop working today, whatever you're doing in the trade, your time for dollars, how long could you maintain your quality life? With 500 million in cash and $80 million in real estate that's producing income and other ventures, he would still be to maintain his same quality of life, right? So it's just another takeaway on that. He used his skill set to then get access to capital to then go invest in other assets that could grow and or provide income. It's a simple playbook, ladies and gentlemen, right? It's a simple playbook when you start to zoom out and think about it that way. But let's talk about some of these partnerships. And this is going back to the quote I mentioned earlier around millionaires are made from investing in stocks, but billionaires are made from investing in businesses. So, some of his brand partnerships that you may not be familiar with. LeBron has signed a lifetime deal with Nike. He recently inked a deal with PepsiCo and Walmart, which is making millions of dollars. In addition to that, a lot of folks forget that he was one of the early investors in Beats by Dre before it was bought out by Apple. So he got paid off of that. Also, too, kind of looking at our notes right here, he has a franchise in Blaze Pizza, which currently is worth, if I'm looking at these numbers here correctly, Forbes estimates that's his stake in Blaze franchise to be worth about 30 million. Something that just warmed my heart right here. LeBron and his former teammate Maverick Carter, big up to Mav, I know Mav, founded the entertainment production company called Spring Hill Company. Why did they name it Spring Hill? That was the project apartment complex that LeBron was raised in. So he's never forgotten where he's come from, right? So the Spring Hill Company, with that company right there, shoot, they have gotten investors from Redbird Capital Partners, Fenway Sports Group. Just an amazing piece that they've done with that. And in 2020, with a $100 million investment, according to Bloomberg, right, they took a minority stake. And now the valuation of the company is look like it's worth about 725 million. Geesh. So you got a production company with special projects like, Space Jam 2, right? That whole piece, stuff on Netflix, different movies, TV shows, the whole nine. In addition to that, they have, the Fenway Sports Group, where he and Maverick sold some of their shares or transferred some of their shares to be a part of the Fenway Sports Group, which owns the Boston Red Sox, the Liverpool Football Club, Fenway Park, and 50% of NASCAR Roush Fenway Racing. In addition to that, 80% of the New England Sports Network, among other assets, right? So understanding here, when we really start to zoom out of here and we talking about lessons around creating wealth, if we zoom out, we can all do this at the scale that we can do it, right? Get a high value skill that pays you well, and then be super intentional about using that income that you earn from that skill to invest in assets and opportunities and or businesses that grow and provide passive income, right? Now, I'm a realist. I don't believe that everybody is going to be a billionaire. Let me just call it what it is, right? But if you start to adopt the mindset of the billionaire, then you're going to start to make better decisions and get you closer to being a millionaire or a multimillionaire. I do believe the majority of folks have the opportunity and the resources to become millionaires. Technically, when we start to bust down what a millionaire is, when we start to look at net worth, assets versus liabilities, it's not that hard to become a millionaire on paper. I was first a millionaire on paper when I was 24, 25 years old. I remember literally calling my mom and saying, Mom, I'm a millionaire. And she's like, What? You got $1 million in the bank? I said, Nah, I ain't got $1 million in the bank. But on paper, I'm a millionaire because I had a $4 million real estate portfolio that I owed less than $3 million on. So effectively, on paper, I was a millionaire, right? So it's not that hard to become a millionaire, but it is adopting a brand new mindset. And that's why I want to get into this. All right, so I just want to talk a little bit about, share with you guys how LeBron has become the first active NBA player to become a billionaire. But now I'm going to give you some lessons around how he did it. So we talked about the investments, but let's talk about, some of those intangible things, because this is where the shift in the mindset is going to take place. So first one I have here listed, being passionate about what you do. It is without no question that LeBron is passionate about playing basketball. But also, what he's passionate about is his community and making a difference in the lives of others. And you see that not only in how he plays the game, by being probably one of the most unselfish players who ever played. And one of the reasons he gets criticized is because of his unselfishness, but also how much he gives back to the community. Again, big shout out to Akron. All right, cool. Number two, LeBron makes the people around him better. Again, another reason why a lot of folks may criticize when they start to have these debates about who's the GOAT and things of that nature, which I never enter into those debates, because who you're going to choose and determine to be the GOAT is completely up to your personal preference. But my personal preference, I like people who are unselfish. I gravitate to people who understand the importance of team. And that's where LeBron has excelled in this place, not only on the court, but off the court. When you look at his business team, it's made up of some of the people that he grew up with. Maverick, Maverick played at his high school and was a couple years older than LeBron. Look at Rich Paul, somebody he met before he even got to the league, but he knew he had something special in him. Make sure you guys go and research that story. So, what I've loved about LeBron over the years is how he's always stayed humble and always stayed connected with his friends and his teammates, former teammates. So he's the consummate team player, and he does one of the best jobs of making people around him better. So think about that for a second as it pertains to you and your finances, right? Are you a good team player? Do you even have a team? Because understand is you ain't moving a needle unless you have a team. You have to start surrounding yourself by like-minded individuals. Shameless plug. Hence why we created the Accelerator Academy. So you don't feel like you're going about this by yourself. You feel like, hey, I actually have some other like-minded people to help lift me up, right? So make the people around you better. So big shout out to how LeBron has always held it down and made the people around him better. He does it on the court, and he does it off the court. All right, so big shout out. Third thing we have right here, doing whatever needs to be done. It could possibly be argued that LeBron is one of the most versatile basketball players to ever play the game. You know what? He can play any position 1 through 5. But what's the business lesson out of this is that not only is he prepared to play those positions, even though those may not be his natural positions, he knows those positions in and out. So, the same way when you're starting to grow your business, yeah, you may be good at doing one thing in the business, but you need to know finance, you need to know marketing, you need to know operations. Even though the goal is to hire other people to take those positions over, you still need to know how they work, because that makes you a versatile player, but also to push you in a position of power and leadership when you can go to the different departments and be able to provide some insight and provide some clarity and things of that nature. So doing whatever needs to be done. If you've never business from scratch, and now I have built probably 3 or 4 businesses from scratch, and you do what has to be done. Like this entrepreneurship piece, whether you're growing your business or looking to invest in other businesses, this shit is not easy, right? It is not easy. And sometimes you just got to do what needs to be done. If that means you need to wake up an hour earlier, you do what needs to be done. That's just the nature of the beast, right? So that comes and that comes with work ethic, and understand that if you're going to don't have today, you're going to make a sacrifice, and you have to determine what it is you want to sacrifice. Do you need to sacrifice an hour of sleep? Do you need to sacrifice an hour of Netflix and chill? You know, you're going to have to sacrifice something in order to have something tomorrow that you don't have today. All right, next thing we have right here. You know, I thought this was real huge, you know, when I was studying this piece. LeBron has done a phenomenal job with showing appreciation for others. He's on record for purchasing very expensive gifts for his teammates, his giving, how he gives back to the community, all super, super important. And that showing appreciation of others builds loyalty, it builds morale, productivity, and ultimately makes you typically makes you more likable, which is important. So to be a billionaire, you don't have to be completely shrewd and be an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you need to be shrewd, right? Especially when it comes to protecting your time and doing things for your family to set them up the right way. But showing appreciation, taking time to say thank you for that whole piece. Other piece we had in here, a lesson we can learn from LeBron. This one always kind of cracks me up a little bit. LeBron is on record during his career where he has went out and sought advice from other NBA legends, including Kobe Bryant and Jerry West. So it's always mind-blowing to me when people want to compare, well, who's the GOAT, Jordan or Kobe or LeBron? Y'all do know that all of these talk to each other, right? Kobe went to Jordan for guidance and mentorship, and LeBron went to Kobe for guidance and mentorship. So while we're sitting here having these meaningless debates about who's the greatest of all time, understand they are practicing one of the practicing one of those most important things you can do when it comes to creating wealth. They are sharing the information with each other. They're not competing against each other to see who's the greatest of all time. They're actually going to each other and saying, hey, how did you navigate this space? How did you get to here? How did you move your team from here to here? How did you finally make the playoffs? What changes did you make in your workout? What did you do different in your diet? Hey, that spin move that you worked, that you perfected, where did you get that from? Have y'all not paid attention that a lot of our favorite players are getting guidance from players that you forgot about or don't even mention? So from a business standpoint, how important is it for you to go learn? Stop talking about competition. This shit is stupid. Go find people who are killing the game, and hey, can I spend some time with you? Can I come shadow you? Can I come sit down with you? My friend who's close to being a billionaire, I actually caught a flight and stayed with him a couple days in DC just so I could shadow him. Hey, how do you start your day? Hey, what do you eat first thing in the morning? Oh, we working out at 6:30. Let's go get it. Okay, let's go look at some of the job sites. So there's no competition. It's all collaboration and growth. So connect with people who are willing to feed into you. And real talk, if you're not where you need to be or where you want to be, I'm going to put the onus on you. While you listen to my voice, I'm going to put the onus on you. If you're not where you want to be, go, it's your fault. Go find somebody who's where you want to be and have a conversation with them. See what they're doing different than what you're doing. How are they treating their health? How are they attacking their rest? How are they managing their family? How are they managing their finances? Who's on their team? The answers are right there in front of you, everybody. And as I'm sharing this with you and helping you kind of navigate this, I'm doing the same thing. It's easy to get into your groove and you're doing your thing. And here recently, my mentor share some things with me. And I talked about this in other podcasts about when you're in your extraordinary season, you need to surround yourself with extraordinary people. And you need to be intentional about nurturing those relationships. So if you got somebody, somebody who's in your network who's killing the game, why don't you go to them? Why don't you get on their schedule? Hey, man, can I get on your calendar quarterly? Even if that means you got to fly out and meet with them, even if that means you got to send them a DoorDash and say, hey, man, thank you for that time. Here's a meal for your family. That's how you invest in yourself. But don't get me started. Oh, my goodness. So LeBron is we've seen where LeBron has been mentored by Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time. Like he's been mentored by Jay-Z. How can you not win when you're connecting and networking with people who are functioning at a higher level than you, right? So it's no surprise he's a billionaire because he's networking and connecting with other billionaires. And granted, let's be realistic here. Some of us may not have access to a Jay-Z, access to a Warren Buffett, right? But who do you have access to? I guarantee you, if you sit down and think about it, you have access to some people who are extremely successful that you know personally and who know you. But are you connecting with them in such a way that you can actually build? Oh my goodness, y'all. Okay, we're almost finished. So give me a couple seconds here. All right. Another thing here in kind of studying LeBron's piece in the whole nine is understanding the whole idea of this whole business ownership piece, right? So to buy, build, sell, and repeat. So a lot of times I see my entrepreneurs out here and they're grinding, they're hustling. And I ask them, this question, if your business was a stock that was publicly traded, so the whole world could see your operations, the whole world could see your finances, would it be a stock that I would want to buy or would it be a stock that I would dump and sell because it's failing? So if you start there with your business, and understanding that you need to build a business that you can one day sell, even if that's not on your top of your mind. The day one, some of the best advice I can give an entrepreneur who's listening to this right now, and this is from personal experience as well, build a business that you can sell from day one. That's one of the I'm gonna say mistakes, but one of the opportunities for growth that I've had to realize is that when you build a business completely around you, that business doesn't have a lot of value because if you go, so does the business. So build something that's not built around you, right? So when you start your business, saying build it so it can one day be sold, even if you never sell it. Because if you build it that way, now you're building something that actually has a real value in the marketplace. And that's what kind of LeBron has done, right? He's looked at businesses that were, starting out and said, you know what? I'm going to invest in this business because eventually it's going to build, and then I'm going to sell that off and maybe sell off those equity shares, take that, and then invest that in another business. So imagine, all of us have friends who are starting businesses and things of that nature. Does it make sense to maybe possibly become an investor in that business, receive some passive income? But again, we won't get into that conversation on this particular episode, but you want to make sure that the business is actually a profitable business and not a garbage business and things of that nature, right? But again, it's the mindset shift. We have to shift our mindset around how we believe wealth is created and things of that nature, right? So that's kind of, if I was to kind of sum this whole piece in, man, is what I've learned studying LeBron over these years and remembering, what I'm saying, him as a youngster, because I'm, several years old, about probably shoot older than LeBron, I believe. What I've seen him do is dive into his craft, have a long-term view. And what I mean by have a long-term view, a lot of y'all don't realize, everybody was up, always everybody was talking about his, I think it was a $90 million contract he'd signed with Nike. He was actually offered $100 million contract plus, I believe it was, with Reebok. And he chose not to go with Reebok. Actually, have the numbers right here. Nike offered him 87 million. Reebok offered him 115 million. It would have been very easy to take that 115 million. I mean, that's a big difference, right? In monies in hand. But he chose to go with Nike. And that was his best decision because today, I don't think there is any NBA players who are sponsored by Reebok as of today. So he made the right decision. So understand that just going to get the most money is not the best decision. You have to have a long-term view, right? Long-term view on the decisions that you're making. So we got to start thinking about that way. So, and again, it's changing your mindset. But back to as we close this piece up, things I've seen LeBron do is perfect his craft, become invaluable in the marketplace. Every team he goes on, he makes the team better. He makes the players better. Players love playing with LeBron. Yes, he may not have as many championships as some of the other players out there, but if you were to interview those players, every player has enjoyed playing. Almost every player who's played with LeBron has enjoyed playing with him. Most of them on the record saying, "I love playing with LeBron." Right. So be invaluable in the marketplace. Take your God given skill set, learn how to turn it into something that pays you a significant income, and then use that income and that capital to then go out and learn how to invest in businesses and assets that's going to give you passive income and grow your net worth, right? And in doing that, never forget team. Build your team of experts. So he got his homies who came in business with him to a high expectation and they rose to that high expectation, right? But also, too, he didn't just keep talking to his homies. He went out and talked to the old heads, to the Z's, to the Warren Buffetts, to these other individuals to learn more game so he could bring that back to his home camp with the homies and say, hey, y'all, this is how we building, right? So understand it's super important to stay connected to your close, real friends, but also to go out of that circle to learn from other individuals as well. And last but not least, always give back, right? The one thing I will say, and what will always resonate with me, why to me LeBron is the greatest of all time. I give back and speak up for the community and for the culture the way LeBron James has. So, yeah, it's one thing to get the bag, but it's another thing to help others get the bag and to set others up for future success. All right, so with that said, y'all, that'll conclude this particular episode. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. Again, big shout out to Akron. Y'all see that just a kid from Akron, 3-3 on the building. If you have not subscribed or followed our podcast, please do. If you're listening to this podcast, man, come join our community. Come rock with us. Go to facebook.com/groups/cash flow unlocked. Come into the community. Not only do we do trainings, we're building a community where you can ask questions and start to just get those good financial literacy vibes. Because before, long story short, your finances will never surpass your financial literacy. In order for you to raise your finances, you have to raise your financial literacy. Okay. And that's why we created this free Facebook group for people to do that. And then afterwards, you may want to take a look at what we're doing inside the Accelerator Academy because these people are moving the needle and killing the game out here. So, with that being said, y'all, Perry Jeffries here. I'm out, and we will talk to y'all on the next piece.